Did you do any preparation specifically for your disability before you went abroad?
Yes. Um, when when I studied abroad, I went to law school in the UK,
Mhm.
and I did ask for accommodations when I had to take examinations um, for ADHD and needing the extra time. And I also though, but I had a depressive episode due to something that happened, and so um, I had to get an accommodation to be able to retake my exams um, because I was impacted by the depression, and I had I had to show my stuff to say, hey, yeah, I had to have a visit at the mental health center, and behavioral health center, and I was inpatient for several months, and so here is documentation. So I need to have. So that was an accommodation I needed for school, which is interesting. Getting but just being able to I could just submit it and the things for my doctors, but it being two different countries, going, okay, yeah, these are the records from my doctor, because they have slightly different systems. um but I actually, having um English be a common language, that actually happened. That was a good thing, because I was able to communicate that effectively about the accommodations I needed. um now when I was Now, that was before the spinal cord injury. After the spinal cord injury, when I went abroad I've gone abroad to a couple of different places. I've gone to Germany and to Canada to teach. Um, I have had to ask for accommodations, like if at some point, like on a panel or whatever, that I'm going to be sitting, I need a chair that has two arms so that I'm not going to list and fall to one side because I'm paralyzed on my right side. And I also told them, I think, I know I had like captions. I need, I like captions um, because I don't process audio audibly as well. Like, I watch captions on TV, I watch captions. So now, anything, I do ask for accommodations for, like, if there's anything that is going to be like where we have to watch it or something, it has to have captions on it. Like when I display my videos, I'm like, it has to have the availability if I'm projecting, if I'm showing media in my presentation, that it's going to have captions. Um, Also, the other accommodations I make sure to ask for is the stage accessible? Because I have a walker. And you cannot believe how many times I've been brought in to talk about disability and the stage is not accessible. So, um, and especially when so Germany, though, that was no problem. They got that, as well as in Canada, they selected a certain classroom that had the presentation style where, I didn't have to go up a podium or anything like that. So the other things that I do to prepare, making sure that I have extra medication, making sure that if I bring my power scooter, that I have an extra battery, that I have, and I have like all my medical information and things like that. I have that saved already into a drive, but I print it out as well, because sometimes it's just easier to hand if I had to go to because I have had to go to the doctor overseas in like the UK. So because I had like an infected tooth. So those are things that I think about. Other preparations specifically for disability. um it depends. Okay. Other things, like I had to have a card like when I had a baclofen pump inserted in my body, which I got taken out, but medtech is a whole different story. Um, but I had to have a card, to say, hey, I have this implant. So, and explain what that means, as far as like going through like metal detectors and things like that. Um, and actually explaining, that's just, because I do a lot of travel and well, until COVID, but I generally go to at least 2 different countries a year. And it's, it's just making sure that I have all of that documentation has actually been really great. Um, and even though, here we have, you don't have to prove your disability. Different countries have different rules. Not everybody the ADA is not standard, and what we do here and what's legal here is not what's, seen as, a civil right, somewhere else. So I do make sure that I bring documentation of my disabilities. Um, so far, I haven't really been challenged on that, but I think it's because I have a visible disability and I use a walker to ambulate. And oh, but that's the other thing. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is a big thing. Another accommodation thing that I make sure, and I need to know. I sometimes, because I, thank God for Google, the internet, but I can look up beforehand to say, hey, where's like a emergency like repair place or a place where I can rent because I have done that before because I didn't want to bring my scooter over. So, looking, and I have done that like in the UK and rented a scooter there and then use that there, because that way I didn't have to transport mine, across, on a plane and across there where it could get damaged, because airlines are notorious for damaging durable medical equipment that they have to handle.